Welcome back to part 2 of our Boots to Bytes series. This episode, Sam Chamberlain interviews Chris Smith, the director of CS Cyber Consulting, talking all things military to cybersecurity.
Hey Chris, thanks for joining me, and thanks again for volunteering your time to take part in this series. Really appreciate all the effort you're going through to help us with this. Why don't we start with just a bit of an overview of your background and how you found the transition into cybersecurity?
Yeah, so I was in the RAF. I spent 9 years in the RAF. I left in 2017, and I left via my transition went through the CTP, the Career Transition Partnership, which was good. You know, I found them really well. Did a few courses with them, and the kind of turning point came when I attended a CTP careers workshop event in Telford, and there was a lot of companies there, and that's where I met my first civilian employer out the Air Force. It was off the back of going to one of the CTP fairs, so it was really beneficial for me.
Okay, great. You mentioned you did a couple of courses. Which courses were they, and how useful did you find them? Because obviously there's a lot of courses available. There's a lot of routes at the moment. Everyone's saying, do this course, do that course. Which ones did you do, and how beneficial did you find them?
I did Prince 2, and
Okay, interesting.
at the time, a lot of people were saying do Prince 2, do Prince 2, and I think that's probably one of my only gripes with the CTP was they kind of push you down, or they don't push you down a route, but they suggest a route to go down, such as Prince 2.
Yep.
I've never used it. You know, in the role I've moved into, I've never used it, and that's one of the kind of points that I'd say to anyone coming out is research what you're going to do, or research what you want to do, and look at what qualifications those types of roles are looking for, and go and do those courses rather than the. When you're in, some courses sound really Gucci, like Prince 2. Everyone was like doing Prince 2, so I went down a Prince 2 route. But like I said, I've never used it, so it was a good course. But again, pretty redundant for me, really.
Interesting. I think a lot of project management courses are actually available for free now anyway. Through I know they can get it through DLE if they're still in Defence Learning Environment. I think is it ITX or something like that. There's a training provider. That's it. Yeah, they're offering a lot of free project management courses, so it hopefully can save people a bit of
brilliant,
bit of their learning credits. Okay, so that kind of leads into what my next question is going to be, which is, if you could go back and do anything differently, what would that be? I suppose linked to that now, if you could choose to have done a different course, what would that have been?
I don't think I would have. Well, I definitely would have chosen a different role. I think I love the role I'm in. I love the work I'm doing. Work-wise, I probably would have chosen, or course-wise, I should say, I would have chosen some courses around cybersecurity and particularly auditing.
Okay.
The first role I got out of the Air Force was auditing a standard called 27001, which is around information security. Yep. So as a comms technician, as I was in the Air Force, it kind of played hand in hand. So I probably would have done more courses around there, around auditing, and probably some kind of technical courses just to kind of really bolster my knowledge. One of the big courses that I see employees asking for is things like CISP or CISM, you know, those kind of big qualifications, and I probably would have put the money towards doing another one of those. I've got my CISP, but I got it via employer, so I was quite lucky in that respect. But I probably would have done my CISM as well on leaving the Air Force, using those kind of enhanced learning credits to the real benefit, really.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned you do a lot of auditing at the moment. It was something we kind of brushed over a bit earlier. Obviously, cybersecurity and information security is a huge industry in its own right. Tell me a bit more about what it is you do specifically in that, obviously auditing and 27001.
Yeah, so I started my own company back in October last year. But it was based on really exciting, scary but exciting. but it was based on the companies I've worked for since I've left, and I've not worked for one company since I've left. I've worked for a few, and that experience has had me auditing, implementing standards, providing assurance on projects as well. So now my main kind of remit is implementing standards, so implementing information security management systems in businesses, providing assurance to companies that work with MOD. But then also as well going out and doing third party external audits. So I have some contracts with some certification bodies in the UK, and they'll call on me from time to time to go and audit clients of theirs against the requirements of 27,001, which is the
Yep.
information security standard, and also 9,001, which is quality, because they go hand in hand really well.
Yeah.
So that works really well for me. It means I'm really flexible, but I get to see both sides of the fence, which is really good as well. It kind of helps me in both jobs,
Yeah.
doing that, the implementation and the audit work.
Absolutely. And how do you think your military background helped or prepared you particularly well for that sort of audit and regulatory and compliance type workplace?
I mean, it's the kind of old cliche, really. That attention to detail is key in the work that we do in audit is having that attention to detail, and it's something I think that service leavers take for granted. We've got a vast range of skills that we don't really know about because it's something we do day in, day out. We get up, we look the part, we look good, we look smart. We've got creases in our shirts, we've got shiny shoes, we're always on time or 5 minutes early. Um, and that's something that in Civvy Street employees ask for, and
Yep.
it's something that we take for granted because it's kind of like, well, that's just the norm, isn't it? But in Civvy Street, it's a real that's something they go, oh, are you on time? Do you look smart? Have you got that attention to detail? So that for me was really easy. There's other aspects of Civvy Street which aren't so easy, which can be quite controversial. We won't go into those. But I think the main thing for me was that attention to detail that you get in the forces
Yeah.
was key, especially to the work I do now anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just cleaning a rifle, if you can spend an hour and a half cleaning a rifle until it is absolutely spotless, you've already got that mindset of going into the absolute granular detail to make sure everything's done to the best possible standard it can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That fear, that dread of handing back your weapon and get it handed back to you,
Yeah,
which always happens. You never get it handed in the first time, right? Okay.
yeah,
But yeah, no, that attention to detail and making sure everything is just so, and having all your ducks in a row is something that service leavers, military people, in whatever trade you're in, if you're putting your name to something, it's got to be bang on.
yeah,
And that's something that in kind of in the civilian world is really stood me in good stead.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, that leads us nicely into my next question, which is more aimed at towards employers and businesses. Other than this attention to detail that you've just mentioned, what advantages do you think hiring veterans can bring to a business?
I think yeah, we touched on a few before, and again, it's stuff that service leavers take for granted. The attention to details one, but then you've got the things like the leadership.
Yeah,
Most people in the forces will have a level of leadership, whether they're a corporal and they've kind of managed 5 people up to your kind of officers who've managed a lot of people, and everyone in between.
mm,
And that leadership is something that again we take for granted, because there's a lot of people in the civilian workforce that don't know how to manage people and manage resources and things like that. And I think that's something that the forces really does give to people is
mm,
that kind of ability, that confidence to manage things, and also that can-do attitude. There's no forces leavers I've worked with who've gone, oh no, we can't do that. Everyone's gone, well, we can do it. We'll have to look into it to see how we can do it, but we can do it. And I work with a lot of service leavers now, and that does come across, and it's good to see that even now, as people have transitioned, they are still willing to help, and they will make things happen as best as they can. It's not always possible, but they will try and give it their best shot. Um, so I think that's really something for employees to think about is, taking on service leavers, you're going to get people who are willing to learn,
Yeah,
willing to take challenges on, and willing to help as best they can.
that's it. There's always these people who think, yeah, I'll take a swing at it, stand up, have a crack at it, and do their best and learn as they go if they have to, but find a way to make it happen rather than think, no, probably can't do that.
Absolutely. I think some people get stuck in their own little kind of silo and don't want to step out of it and
Mm.
don't want to step out of that comfort zone. And obviously, being service veterans, every day you kind of push out your comfort zone or push to do something different. And that's what makes you grow and it's what makes you learn. And um, companies can use that to their advantage. Taking on a service leaver who's like that because I think it brings on other people within the business as well. If they see that service leaver coming in new,
Yeah,
trying different things, pushing themselves out of comfort zone, you will get some followers to that as well, which is great.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and lastly, then, if you could go, if you could give any advice to service leaver who's either left and looking to get into cybersecurity or going through that transition now, what would it be?
Network, network, network.
Yeah,
Like it's one of the things I've only just really got hold of. I've had three jobs when I left the Air Force, not because I wasn't comfortable, but because I just kind of progressed into um, better better jobs, and
hmm
um, it's only really been I should say those three jobs all came about via networking, particularly on LinkedIn,
yeah,
and it's only been the last kind of few months that I've really, being a business owner, I've really seen the kind of value in networking. And it's so easy to do. I think me and you, Sam, came about via a network chat on a group on LinkedIn.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and without that, this wouldn't have happened. So, I wish I'd have networked more at the time. And I'm sure there was courses or there's something that the CTP run, and it's specifically about networking on LinkedIn and things like that.
Mhm.
So, as a service leaver, get your LinkedIn profile up to date, get it gleaming, ask for help.
Yeah,
Ask for help with it. There's loads of people out there like us, um, like other groups on LinkedIn. Ask for help. Get someone to check it over because that's your kind of market stall to the employment world.
yeah,
And um, a lot of people will say now, if you've got the right kind of LinkedIn profile, employers come to you. Are you
yeah,
looking for work?
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know, and it's one of the best tools that is out there for service leavers, but you've got to do it. Get to the networking events, get to the trade shows,
mhm.
just network. It's invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, something a lot of veterans are quite good at is chatting to people over a beer or two. So
Exactly. Yeah.
good stuff. Well, Chris, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for taking part in this.